Hey, what's up? Wall Street Saturday, episode number 2, I guess, if that's how we're gonna describe it. But we want to thank everybody for being here on the call, any listeners or anyone watching with us too. I'm Josh Flores, by the way. I think that's something we failed to mention in the first episode. And if the others want to also introduce themselves.
Hey, I'm Joshua Trusting.
Mark Gonzalez.
There
we go.
Yeah, Mark, Misael. But yeah, it's super cool, man. Yeah, just to kind of get us started off, I think we could kind of talk about just the week in general that happened. Some super high level stats here. The NASDAQ was down 7.55%. The S&P was down 2.7%. The Dow was down 4.6%. VIX is almost at 30. It's last I saw it was at 28.85. Oil is at $85 a barrel. So shout out to that. I think some of the experts that I knew thought that that would never happen, but they're also saying that it's not going to go much higher than that. So some of your oil plays, just look out for that. Of course, we have the 10-year treasury and some bonds that are looking kind of funny. And of course, cryptos were like really crazy waking up this morning. But I know we have a lot more to kind of speak about. But before we get into that, let's kind of start off with a prayer, just getting off the weekend right and into the next week. But if one of y'all wanted to hit that up.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, cool, man.
All right. Dear God, thank you so much for this day, which we were so blessed to wake up to. I thank you so much for this group of guys, which we can just talk about stocks and learn how to be more cognizant of how we spend our money on assets and just taking care of the gifts and blessings that you've given to us. I pray that we'd have a good discussion and that we would learn from each other and that our viewers would also learn from this discussion and that we'd all grow together. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Cool, man. So, oh man, where do we even start with this crazy week?
I kind of want to start on crypto, to be honest with you. There is just a lot going on in that space. Since we have Mark on the call, perhaps you can give us a brief overview and then just to head on into some deeper discussion on that.
Yeah.
Well, here I can share. Let's see if I pick the right one. Yeah, I mean, we definitely talked about how that pattern, the head and shoulders pattern was
showing the
forming.
right screen.
Yeah, I'm seeing some charts here.
Are you seeing my
starting
mouse?
off with Bitcoin?
Double tops.
Why can't I see what I'm sharing? I don't know which one I'm sharing. It's this one right here, right? You see my mouse?
Yeah, dude. It looks like a support has been broken for sure.
Yeah. So this is the monthly. Actually, we're way zoomed out here, but there's a few things and this chart's been going for a long time. I've had this. Well, I don't know, just these trend lines, just master trend lines. So yeah, that clearly was a support break right there. Boom.
Yeah.
And because we were trading in this channel here, and we broke. But so I also have an indicator here. These dots. This is the Parabolic Sar, and basically this is like a secondary. It's another support here. So that's the monthly. But then every chart you can throw this up on, and it's a good indicator that it's going to continue on. So if it breaks this right here, that will take us down to, this is our average right here. That's where it actually wants to go, which scares me a lot because that's down to 28,000. So basically where I start to panic, not panic, but get even more depressed is the breaking of this. So if we hold that, then there's a good chance we'll reverse off of that on the monthly. So we could have some more pain, which is scary. But
so what exactly are these dots?
So it's the Parabolic Sar, which is just an algorithm based off a bunch of other stuff. But to me, it's like that's like a major support break right there. Boom. So if you look at this line, which is our trend, this one would basically guarantee we're bearish, which isn't necessarily good. But if it does happen, I predict that it would be very quick, like ripping off a Band-Aid, and then we'd have an immediate rebound. But yeah, and there's a good chance.
You mentioned that the green line, like right there. What's that?
Average. This is the moving average.
What's the time frame for that moving average?
Well, we're on a monthly.
Okay, gotcha.
So you get, you know, depending on what chart you're on. So if you and then obviously you look at our so these are our Bollies, our Bollinger Bands, and we obviously broke through. Which farther it goes through a bully is more likely that it's continue in that direction. So that's the weekly. You look at the daily.
Yeah, but overall, it sounds like
we're falling down. We're falling through it. So
do we know?
I think it's going to continue lower, basically.
Yeah. Do we know where that dot is? Where that dot's kind of stopping off at? So like we're potentially the first
on the monthly.
Yeah. So where it could potentially first kind of bottom out at.
So, dude, I really hope we don't get this low. This is the monthly. So we would have to break through 33,000.
Yeah.
So we have until, you know, we have a long way to go. I mean, that's another, what, 3,000, 2,000? Where are we at right now? Yeah, we're
I think it's at 35, yeah.
So that's another, yeah, I mean, which it could happen. It could happen. But I definitely think we'll at least touch it. I don't know if we'll break it, but.
Yeah, so I mean, if it gets down to there, if it gets down to that 33 there, you thinking about buying more or?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I've so actually just recently I've been testing out. I've done it before with Bitcoin. I took out a DeFi loan where I put my Bitcoin up as collateral, and I did the whole process before. You put your Bitcoin up as collateral, they give you a loan, and there's different parameters. You can get like a interest rate real low for higher amounts of times, or you can do shorter amount of time with a 0 interest rate. So I did like a 6-month on it. Tried it out once before. They give you USDC, take it, do your thing, pay it back, it clears, and then you can do it again. And but now they opened up Ethereum, so I did it with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I have that sitting on the side in cash, and luckily I did it when we were still higher. So if I can use that definitely to buy back in, and then wherever you decide to take profits, you know, pay off the loan and let the rest ride. So that's kind of been my pattern, and it's harder when you're going down, right? But it's the same thing as Michael Saylor's doing, so I'm excited about that. So definitely always keep some dry powder on the side there. Pro advice. So how do I end the stream? How do I end my screen share? I am trying to figure this out.
Oh yeah, there's like a band at the top that kind of drops down.
It's not showing on mine.
Where it might be like on another screen if you have it.
I have like 7 screens.
Man. Oh yeah, I forgot you were a producer over here, man.
Yeah, I'm still doing that too. I can't find where that is. Can you kick me out?
Oh yeah, I got you.
There we go.
Yeah, cool, man.
Right.
But no, interesting. Yeah, I mean, obviously with these kind of things, I mean, as we've been talking, I do see that Ethereum has been like kind of going up. I saw that it kind of bottomed out at about 2,300, and now it's kind of shooting up, like literally from like the start of this call. And so I can never catch those bottoms for some reason, you know. But I thought I was catching the bottom a couple days ago, but obviously I need to get some more today, you know. Do I know if this thing is going to continue? I'm not too bullish on it myself, but again, it's just opportunities, right? There's no such thing as a bad investment or a bad time. It's just an opportunity to get in.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw like this was going to happen like earlier. If you look at that chart, like a 1-year chart, you can definitely see like the head and shoulder pattern forming. And I think it was back in March when we were seeing like the beginning of the second shoulder form, and now obviously it's definitely completed the pattern. It takes a while to creep up. You know, obviously it went from like 10,000 to like 60,000. It took a while, but the drop is a lot faster, and it usually is a lot faster than what it takes up to run up like that. So yeah, definitely keeping an eye on that. And
I don't think we're done with that either yet, guys.
Yeah.
Just put that 2 cents. And I think there's still more room to fall, you know?
Yeah. And then at the end of the day, like it's always like it's almost impossible to catch like the very top or the very bottom, but as long as you catch most, you know, of the bottom or the top, I mean the rest, and if you do it right, the rest of the way should like kind of compensate for what you didn't catch like 100%. But yeah, definitely a good thing to watch out for.
And I always recommend to dollar cost average DCA in, you know, like don't just go all in every time. I mean, split it up.
Yeah. So like that's something I've heard also this week. Do you mind just kind of like giving us like a brief kind of like an example or definition of that, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, so like, look, yeah, you're never going to catch a falling knife, right? Is the term. So instead of, you know, it's kind of hedging yourself. So if you have a lump sum that you're looking to get in $500, split it into 5 buys, you know, $100 each or even more. And because one thing I heard from another crypto person was like, there's that FOMO, right? That you want to just get in if you're missing out. So if you just buy a little, just do that first buy, it appeases that FOMO. So you feel in and you're like, okay, I got a piece of it. And then, you know, but sure enough, it usually drops more and drops more and drops more. So you can just split it up into those buys. Also, the other thing with dollar cost averaging is just like long-term all the time. I buy weekly, right? So Coinbase, you can do it on there. You can set it to buy a certain amount in a certain period of time. Swan Bitcoin's another great one. They have actually, I think, lower fees, and that's one I recommend 100%. But yeah, just set it and forget it. That's what I tell people. Like, I just, you know, find the amount you're comfortable with paying each month, and then don't look at it, you know. So.
Dude, yo, and one other thing that I was gonna ask too, and kind of, you know, rebounding off of this topic here. I know that we were looking at Bitcoin, and like obviously that's kind of like the standard for all cryptos, right? That's like not only can you like literally buy Bitcoin, of course, you know, but it's also like a good indicator of like how the crypto market is in general. And so I know that we were kind of like looking at some of those like support points, maybe even more like a base around the 33,000, 28,000. Because I did see that Cardano was almost under $1. Like, and it might actually have been because like when I woke up, like it was at like $1.01, like Coinbase like gave me a notification about it, you know. And so my buddy hit me up about this OHM. I don't even know what it stands for, but like basically he was kind of like showing me like, you know, get like a MetaMask wallet, you know, have your Ethereum convert it to this OHM and then use one of these websites to stake it. And like the APR on it's like over 1,000%. Like when he like told me about it, it was at like 3,000% APR, like just staking it. And like when I checked it like 2 days ago, it was at 2,000%. And so like apparently it's been like
is
fluctuating
that a liquidity pool?
Yeah, I think that's
I think it is.
Liquidity pool?
I think it is.
Okay, yeah, that's how you got that, because that's not just staking. Like you're providing liquidity. You're actually sending your coins to that exchange and people are using it. And then what are you getting paid in?
Bro, I have no idea. I mean, it was like something that's like no. Man.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
yeah, it gets confusing.
I might. He told me he was like just straight up like it's obviously very risky, you know. And so I mean, I was thinking like, you know, I can maybe fork over like $100, $200 or something, you know what I mean? Something that's kind of like immaterial. But even just to
people
kind of
are making a lot of money, you know, doing that.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, Olympus DAO is like Olympus DAO is like a really interesting project. It's kind of like a crypto like reserve. So you try to like the Federal Reserve, like this is kind of like a reserve for crypto. So what they do is like they have like this this coin like called OHM, and whenever you purchase it, essentially it's like so you can actually like buy bonds in their reserve, basically buy like that OHM coin at a cheaper price than what it's currently selling at the market price. And so when that happens, essentially you're basically paying for that $2,000 AP, so that 2,000% APY. So, but you're also getting that coin later on once that bond essentially matures. And so basically they're creating like a reserve of all of these different cryptos, say like maybe some of the stable coins, some other coins that are on whatever ecosystem they're on, like the Ethereum, or or Phantom in the case of, let's say, like Hector DAO, which is like another similar crypto reserve. And so each one of those coins is actually going to be backed by other crypto. So kind of like how like the dollar you see like be backed by gold. These like crypto reserves actually could be backed by different pieces of different like crypto coins. And so they actually do have like a fundamental value. And sometimes like these, like let's say or maybe like Time Wonderland, they'll actually, the value of their coin will actually go below the fundamental value. So they have like, if they go below like the fundamental value, then that reserve will actually begin buying back coins to push back up like the value, the market value of that particular coin. And like Mark had already mentioned, you're actually contributing to liquidity, like whenever like you're staking as well. So these crypto reserves actually own probably like 90% plus of liquidity for that coin. So they have like a lot of control.
So who owns, like who's running that? Is that just like a group of guys who just like happen to have like a bunch of?
Yeah, so they have like a decentralized like autonomous organization that manages it.
Or, yeah.
So then it is.
And they all ran all algorithms.
Yeah, so I think like at least with Time Wonderland anyway, they have like a few people that are going to be making decisions on what kinds of coins they want to put, for example, in their reserves. So they'll put like more stable coins if the market is really unstable, so that like the value of their coin won't really be like fluctuating too much. So they're at least with some of these DAOs, they do have like a few people who are kind of like managing the reserve to make sure that things end up being more stable than just with like a pure algorithm that's determining what kinds of coins they have that are backing their coin.
Yeah, so I'm sure the changes are. Sorry, the changes are based off of voting rights, right? I'm sure that you vote based upon what you stake. It is like your number of votes. I'm sure that's usually how those work, and then based upon like someone will put a proposal up for a new coin or something like that, and then it'll get voted on, and then depending on how that outcome is what the admins are allowed to change or whatever, from what I understand.
Yeah, dude, is there like a website or something that we can like share that like gets more information for this? Because I like totally need that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's the Olympics DAO website. Let me see if I can pull that one up. A lot of them though, like you actually have to will probably want to connect using, say, your crypto wallet. So if you're like a Coinbase wallet, like you probably prefer to access the website that way, so you can actually connect your wallet and then get more information that way. But I will let me just share really quickly on the
so speaking about website. Cardano, this started with Cardano. Cardano is coming online with a lot of things that have been in the works. For instance, they just launched their NFT, basically their whole NFT section. And I bought my first Cardano NFT, I'm proud to say, on their network. And that's why I think that the price is going to start running here, because they finally have something worth investing in.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I obviously have some Cardano here myself, and I mean, is there any other ones that you kind of feel like are kind of going around? I mean, like I buy like cryptos every week as well. I try to buy Ethereum, like without a doubt, to get that, but then like I just kind of buy some like random ones here and there, whatever I feel like is like kind of like at an appealing price, you know. But
and what's the difference between all of those? I know we've mentioned like Cardano, we've mentioned Bitcoin, we've mentioned what's like a quick explanation of how they differ from each other, or what
Cardano's trying to do what Ethereum's doing in a more efficient manner, and that's what basically all of them are trying to do, similar things in a more efficient manner that scales on the protocol level. Like there's there's side chains and things like that, and that's what you have swaps, you have different things like that to speed up transactions, dexes, things like that. But like as far as like gas fees on Ethereum, it's just insane, right? So like NFTs, for instance, obviously I don't think they're going away. I personally think that the art is a big opener use case, but I think they'll eventually be everything. And so
and the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Say that again.
So like, and what's the main difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum, just for the people who are listening who aren't really sure what the difference is?
I mean, so I look at Bitcoin as like more like a gold, right? Like a solid store of value. It doesn't necessarily have to be fast. It just needs to be secure, which again is gold. And the security is more important than the speed when you're talking about the amount of money at the base level like that. So then if you have something like Ethereum, right, which is because I believe, you know, if you have your security in Bitcoin, you can have something like Ethereum that will allow you to make smart contracts, which open a whole nother area like DeFi, right? Lending platforms and things like that in a trustless system, because instead of like, hey, I send you the money, you send me the goods, it's like we send the money to a place that's locked up and the goods are there, and then it's released once the money is received, all autonomously and trustlessly. So we can just do that over and over again, and you can just scale from there. So it's like, now the thing is though, is the holdup is the speed, right? The speed and the money it costs to transact. So if you can do that faster and more efficiently, then that's where the people will go. And that's definitely what's going to happen. And you have things like Polygon, Matic, you have ADA, Cardano, you have, I mean, and there's a bunch of them that are trying to do similar things. And it's, you know, who's going to be the better mousetrap, I guess, in the end of the day.
Yeah, and obviously by DeFi, yeah, no, thank you. And by DeFi, you mean democratized finance, which is like the whole point of crypto. Currently, the way that money moves around is like some big company has all the information from all their clients, balances, credits, debits, and all that stuff. And obviously, the idea of DeFi is democratizing that information amongst all the stakeholders. So everybody, you know, obviously the ledger goes around and is in everybody's person's, you know, they have it, they can access it, they can see who has what. And that kind of makes it safer for everybody who has skin in the game. So I just wanted to, that's what DeFi is, Mark, referring to.
Yeah, absolutely. And then not to mention just, you know, emerging markets, upcoming people that just never had access to any type of banking, things like that. It just opens the world. If you have a cell phone, you can play. And I really like that.
Yeah, what's also cool about it is that since it's like decentralized, anyone can kind of like see what transactions like have been made on the entire ledger. So for example, if I claim that I own say like a Bored Ape NFT, you can, and I give you like the address to like the public address to like my wallet, you can definitely see that I do actually own that particular NFT. And so you don't have to take my word for it. You can actually just verify for yourself. So it's more also like for don't trust, verify. It's also like a big deal for like for DeFi and crypto as well. And also on the note of NFTs, I think Misael, like you were talking previously like, about a story on like how one famous athlete is actually investing in NFTs. Could this be the beginning of NFTs going more mainstream?
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of like 50-50 on the fence about NFTs. I can see how like the really good artists can make a profit on their art, but literally there was news about this guy in Indonesia, like this college student who just like testing the waters with NFTs, decided just to start selling them just as a prank, and then he became like a millionaire because people actually were buying it. So that's one example. And then on the other side of the spectrum is Tom Brady. Like, you know, he has like an NFT agency now, and he's like worth $150 million. So you kind of have to be very careful where you put your money when it comes to NFTs, because you can pretty much label anything as an NFT, but will it hold its value? Will it serve you, or will it just make you lose your money, you know, like that? So yeah, that was something that came up this week, and I thought it was really interesting that he's getting into it, you know, and it's everybody and their mom is like trying to get an NFT, and I don't know, it may just be some sort of like frenzy or something, you know, that the fact that it's so unknown, I think is probably what holds its value. You know, the fact if people actually knew what, like how it worked, I don't think it would be as valuable as a market as it is at the moment. But the fact that it's so kind of like unknown, like the unknown is kind of what's giving it that big of a price. But that just thought it was really, really interesting to see that headline.
Yeah, do you know what type of NFT? I mean, I saw the article, you shared it, but I didn't get the opportunity to read it. But I think like it is kind of funny because NFT, I think a lot of people associate it with art, but I think that obviously like I think it's going to be much bigger than that. You know what I mean? Like our IDs are going to be NFTs probably at some point whenever the Federal Reserve wants to like pick it up, or whenever these world governments want to like get on with it. But our house deeds, our car deeds, our high school diplomas, our college diplomas, everything is going to be on an NFT. It's going to be on a contract. And by the way, my buddy sent me this like strange like Twitter like feed, this chain of tweets. Basically, this guy was just like, when your kids go to school, they're gonna learn how to read an Ethereum contract. And so I'll send that to you guys like in our group chat. And I'll put that in our bio too here on this video too. So if people are kind of interested
for sure.
in that,
I mean, going back to the Brady thing, it's called Autograph, and apparently it's right now in like the funding stages, obviously. So far, it's like gotten like $170 million in backing from like capital firms, and not only Brady, but like Tiger Woods, Simone Biles, Derek Jeter, Usain Bolt, Tony Hawk. All these people are like jumping into it. So, I mean, it may be like one of those outperformers out there. So something to keep in mind.
Yeah, we'll have to see if it goes public. But yeah, I know.
And one thing they have going for them is that they actually have like a public figure that's associated with the arts. So it's not just like some guy in a basement who's making artwork and then hoping that he can sell it for say like 50 ETH or so. This is actually related to like a well-known, high-profile public figure. And it seems like some significant investors are also putting money in there too. So maybe like NFTs are getting more and more approval like from potentially Wall Street in the future.
No, yeah, it's always nice to have institutional or big investors, you know what I mean, to kind of back those things. Yeah, but yo, I know we've been talking about the cryptos for a while, and I know that there's a lot of other things that we were kind of talking about this week. Right before we hopped on this call too, and I know we were talking about the 5G and the airlines. I thought that was kind of funny to see what was going on there. I know we have like the war with Russia. You know what's actually kind of crazy too about last week that we didn't even bring up, like, and we still haven't even brought up, is the pandemic. You know what I mean? And like, I'm more than sure we're gonna have like 2 more like variants right before like the end of this year. And so it's kind of interesting. We mentioned the pandemic was over, but I know that you guys kind of went into some deep dives with those. Did you guys want to like share anything on that?
Which of the topics?
Either one.
Russia. I mean,
well, it's
5G.
It's kind of like a big. I said, I this week I brought up that quote unquote the pandemic was over, and I think it's like a psychological thing more than anything, because obviously, thank God, I mean, this Omicron variant seems to be like a way milder version, even though it's like way more contagious. I mean, people seem to be getting over it like 1 or 2 days or maybe a week. And I kind of always, it's like, that's kind of like macro, right? The pandemic in the background going on. And then the fact that, the NASDAQ had its worst week since March 2020, which is when the pandemic officially started. I think mentally people are starting to see, hey, maybe this is over. It's been 2 years. Maybe we can get back to normal. So the market is really good at kind of like, picking up on those sentiments way before they actually become a thing. And I think that's the correlation between like how the market is doing right now. The tech sector kind of struggling a little bit as, we hear that Omicron has started to like spike and kind of like top in the states that were really affected by it. Like when it really started getting super contagious with the Omicron variant. So that's why I think it's kind of like the beginning of the end. You know what I mean? Seems like most people like at least have gotten at least 1 shot, maybe double it, 2 shots, maybe the booster in case you're like highly compromised. But Yeah, something to keep an eye out for, since, you know, we've had like this crazy run in the past 2 years, especially tech, and now it's kind of like, where do we go from now? So
Yeah. Well, I think it's worth bringing up, because I know we talked about some of those like rebounding, reopening plays. You know, obviously, like I don't know how the airlines are doing, but I think that they're doing like okay. You know, just okay. I don't think they're great, but you know, we talked about Peloton and how that had a crazy drop, and one thing too was Netflix. Netflix had a crazy drop as well, and so I don't know if you guys. I mean, do you guys see opportunities in that? Obviously, like they're priced like better. You know, Zoom, obviously, right? We're using Zoom right here. That used to be like $300, you know? And so, I mean, I don't know if you guys, like, obviously, like for me, I can just say like Peloton has never been like appealing to me, you know, but I don't know if you guys are like interested in some of those other plays too. Are you guys looking at any airlines, Netflix, Peloton? I mean, I don't think, I mean, Disney, right? Like speaking of that, they have a very like similar, like, I guess source of revenue to Netflix, right? Netflix said that they were raising their prices. So it's like Disney's like got to do the same. You know, they're obviously like increasing like I think that they have a bus that takes them from the airport to the Disney resort, and now they're like charging people for it. You know, so they're kind of like nickeling and diming people now, you know. I mean, obviously, like I'm pretty big on Disney, right? Like Disney's like it's not like the cheapest stock in the world, but I mean, it's getting better. I want a dollar cost average into that. 20 years from now, I'm sure like there's going to be another live action film of The Lion King with other great pop stars of that time. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you guys are seeing anything in that or
I would
thought
agree.
about it.
I think out of all of like those stocks that you mentioned, to me at least, Disney seems to be one of the most attractive to take a position in. Mainly because if you look at the chart for Disney, as a matter of fact, they're priced right now at 137.38, and right before the pandemic, let's say like January 24th, sorry, January 10th of 2020, they're at 144.62. So they're actually cheaper now than they were pre-pandemic, and some things have significantly changed since then. So first, they're still basically sold out for Walt Disney World. And like you said, like they're continuing actually their strategy of just pulling back a lot of like the benefits of like of that they used to include for free, and just kind of like nickeling diming people more and more and more, making them pay like for each of like those different like benefits for their theme parks, which is good for their if it doesn't like reduce the demand. So they're not really taking a hit there. But also what's really changed is that they also launched Disney Plus. And that's been a competitor to Netflix. And Netflix is already, as you mentioned previously, has gone down just due to reduced projections, and their growth isn't going to be as significant as it was previously thought. So I think that might offer an opportunity for Disney to swoop in and grab like a larger market share. And also, I think, you know, also for the reopening play too. Disney is also something just because like they have like Walt Disney like World Resorts, and I think they're just going to continue to make money from a lot of their intellectual property like assets. So the stuff like Marvel, of course, like their classic Disney Pixar films. For example, like Cars was like a huge like franchise for them, and I'm sure they're going to come up with even more in the future. Not even just like for like the actual films, but the actual merchandise sales that they come up with. So Train Cars was successful mainly for a merchandise reasons, not the actual film itself. So I think Disney has a really bright future ahead of it, and I'm looking to see how I can get invested in like some ETFs that will incorporate stocks like Disney, which are actually becoming more and more attractive due to the recent broader market dip. Peloton, I would say that also hasn't really been a stock of major interest for me. Interestingly enough, there was like a news story that came out this past week that said that they were going to cease production of some of their stationary bicycles, and then later on, the CEO came out and said, "Hey, yeah, that news report was fallacious. We're not going to cease production." But yet and still, they ended up with about like a net 15% loss. So they were actually up yesterday as investors kind of like processed what the CEO had said. But overall, there's still like a net 15% loss. I wouldn't say it's necessarily from just like that article, but I think it's just more like the market taking into account like the broader sell-off that occurred this past week. So if in a perfect world, I think if like that sell-off hadn't happened, they probably would have been where they were before that news piece came out. That was incorrect about their production. So yeah, that's my take on some of those stocks.
Yeah, and for example, I mean, obviously, you know, Peloton is super new. I think they listed right before the pandemic. Obviously, didn't have any earnings. I don't think it did. And so the thing about the 2020 market was like, yeah, buy those companies that don't even have any, that have like potential to earn money, but are currently losing money, you know, because that's pretty much what Tesla was. So right now, you know, the weakest link, the weakest links are just falling off, you know, as the market kind of takes a more conservative kind of outlook. And it's kind of interesting that it's a very specific thing that they're going to stop producing their track and their bike, and then the CEO says, no, that's not true. You know, even though it's like super specific, you know, it's like, so yeah, there's something going on. I mean, it also has to do with, again, the pandemic, right? I mean, that was like a huge pandemic thing. Like, you can't go to the gym, okay, just buy yourself a Peloton, and you got this the problem fixed. Or like, okay, now we can go back to a regular gym. I want to socialize. And honestly, at like $1,000 plus bike, just to have like a screen on top and kind of like encouraged you a little bit or whatever. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's very super niche, you know. I mean, it was like the people who had them are like doctors or super high earning people, and it's not for like the common folk. So they kind of just had to, maybe they didn't have enough time to make the product more affordable, but they're just kind of in a bad spot at the moment.
Dude, it's just before it's time. Just wait till you have your headset. You're riding your bike in the metaverse. Or...
Hey, that's a very interesting point that you bring up there. That might be something to look out for.
Coming. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely something they could move into. I mean, shoot. I mean,
if anything, they might be able to be acquired by Facebook or something, right? Maybe you should be.
I mean,
or Meta. Sorry, my bad. But
Meta, get it right.
You went and ruined one of the best investing acronyms of all time.
Dude, but that's actually a very good point, Mark, that you bring up. I mean, that could totally be something. Maybe you need to work for Apple leadership there, Mark. That's not actually a bad idea.
Well, I'm sure it's already in the works.
Yeah, I remember one time you brought up the fact that Tesla might purchase LYFT for like their information, and I've been on the lookout for that too. You know, I was like, that's actually a pretty good idea too. You know, but yeah,
all rumors. Yeah, I don't know actual information.
That's true. That's true. You know,
it all makes sense.
No, yeah. Let's make sure that that's very clear. You know, these are all just kind of wishful thinking, right? And just something to look out for, you know. But still in the back of my mind.
Do you know? Basically, I've been buying metaverse tokens though, like coins.
Mana.
Just kind of on that play. Mana's one of them. I can quickly tell you kind of which ones I've been looking at. So there's some smaller ones too, like Meta Hero, which is Hero. Is a coin.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's some of the gaming coins too. So, you know, like I'm sure you guys have heard of Axie Infinity, come across. There's Vulcan Forge. There's some new. And these are all like NFT based gaming things. A few ones that just launched were. Hold on, let me tell you. I've got them all in random exchanges. So Star Atlas is another one. UFO Gaming, Gala Games is another one too, and Altura. And then there's some smaller ones like Dayton Arena, D-Race, Monkey Ball, and Sidious. And these are all based upon like games that you either use the token in in-game play as as money, and then there's a lot of exchanges where you can actually sell or buy it. So, and then a lot of these, when you stake assets in game, you get paid in that gaming token as well. So it's pretty crazy. Just like, you know, say Candy Crush or whatever, people need to buy that token in order to purchase more supplies in the game. It could pump the price, especially if it's a hit game. So now you're getting more into the RPG world and stuff like that, which is just getting nuts, right? Because all your skins, all your assets you actually own, and you can take them into other games and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
Right. I think one of the things that kind of worries me about the metaverse is that it seems like it's almost like too associated with gaming, but it actually has like broader applicability too. Like, for example, let's say Decentraland, there's actually a lot of, imagine if you would create like a house in Decentraland, right? That was designed to mimic a real world physical house. So people could actually start touring that house and see what it's like to live there. Maybe have like an actual like tour guide that's a real person, and you're just walking around that area, exploring your property, getting a feel for it without actually having to leave your couch. And maybe you're in like a different country, totally different like area, but you're able to explore a different part of the world and make an investment decision, possibly based off of a metaverse experience. I think that has tremendous value. Although some people, I think, still classify Decentraland as still like a game, even though it's kind of like a simulation and has, I think, broader applicability outside of what people would traditionally consider gaming. I think gaming kind of like is like almost like a part of like simulation, and the metaverse can potentially generate more value than just mere entertainment. I think it actually is a way of, it can be a way of disseminating information to people in which they're not typically used to. Like, we don't normally, like put on like a headset for like in our daily lives. We typically do that like for gaming. But I think as the metaverse begins to expand and people begin to realize more of its true potential, we're going to see more applicability for things like, say, real estate, and actually just exploring different houses, maybe going to maybe say 10 houses, 10 showings of a house for different houses within a very short period of time, and not actually having to physically leave where you are in that moment. And that can even like have like go ahead.
Sorry, the gamers are going to be the first though. That's because they have the most utility. Even though all these other things will have to be there, you're not going to get certain people coming online for that yet until it's like the next Facebook, right? Where you get all the boomers finally on board, and then everyone else is on to something else. So I think that it'll take time to evolve before you get that. But I think that all the millennials that are definitely already in the space are going to turn the metaverse world into nothing different than the real world, as far as like you might be walking down the street in Decentraland and notice the foot traffic in that particular area has more people like congregating, and you're like, this would be a great location for a billboard, or something like that, and then like figure out how to put up a billboard there because you noticed the street traffic, right? Like literal stuff that you would do in the real world. You're not going to go in. You could go out into the boonies and get something cheaper too, but there's no one there to see it, right? There's stuff like,
right.
All that stuff is relatable. It's nuts. It's really crazy. I never thought we'd be at this point, like within our lifetime, like where it's actually plausible that people are going to do this to make money. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to get your mind around it, but I can definitely see it. And I want a piece of it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you think about like, obviously the baby boomers are already retired. Our generation, which grew up with video games, is now saving for their 401k and obviously very much involved with video games. I'm kind of surprised how many quote unquote adults are still like playing video games. And it's kind of like, I know in the Hispanic culture is like, if you're playing games at my age, you're like a, couch potato, you should be working or something. But like, my friends, they're professionals, they have a degree and they're working and they love playing video games. So I just wanted to bring up the news. Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, which was like big news this week. And that kind of signals that, there's a big shift that's happening into the video game world. And that's only going to get stronger. So, it was probably GM, Ford, and all those stocks were pretty popular back when the baby boomers were like getting cars and hot rods and all that stuff. I think the the video game stocks are going to be or the big wars pre-30 gross.
I also heard that consoles will eventually just be a thing of the past. You know, everything's going to be cloud-based, server-based. Especially now crypto's here, it enables us to not need that as much, and so it's happening. I think it's gaming, and it's all going to be integrated. You know, it's all going to be one somehow. All the senses.
Dude,
yeah, for sure. It's interesting, exactly what you were saying, Mark. You know, obviously Microsoft and Activision, they're kind of like they're taking a step into the right direction. On the other side of that is Sony, which obviously, you know, very heavy console use. And if what you're saying is right, they have to figure something out before they become outdated. And I don't think they have any.
It's got to be integrated to their TVs. That's the only way, you know. They're
yeah.
They have to be the first to integrate in an easy way, right? That's the trick.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
No, that's good. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that, but given that they kind of are, no, they are like a big competitor to Xbox and all that stuff. They're gonna have to figure something out.
But TVs will be your TV is going to be a compute. You know, it'll be it's going to be everything, dude. It'll be a virtual reality, regular. It's gonna. I think that's just inevitable. Like the cell phone for the wall. It's crazy.
Dude, yeah, to kind of bounce off of that too, you know, I think I saw Nancy Pelosi buy a bunch of Roblox, or at least have some options to buy some. So I mean, that's another thing. I mean, I got into Roblox too. Obviously, that's like a pretty beaten down stock as well. So that's also just another opportunity to look into as well. I mean, I know that. I mean, I keep bringing it back to like the stocks. That's just because that's where my personal expertise, I guess, if you could say, is at, you know. But yeah, dude, looking into Roblox too, you know, might get some more of that.
Dude, and I personally know from my niece and nephew, whenever they come over, they are obsessed with Roblox. And all of their friends in their class are on, and they're all talking, and they're like, it was nuts. And when Roblox went down, they freaked out. There was that one weekend where Roblox went down. And then the second it came back up, they're like, it's back up, guys. They all jumped on. They're all texting each other. They were back there, and they spend a ton of money in there. It just shows me, like, these kids, like, you thought we grew up on video games. We didn't have cell phones at their age, like really at that level. And our video games weren't at that level at all. So like Super Mario Brothers and stuff, there's nothing even close to that. Like, which brings me to another point. There's a video online with Keanu Reeves talking about the Matrix, and he was trying to explain it to a little girl, the whole story about like how he's trying to figure out basically what's real, like if what he sees is real. And he did this whole thing, and then at the end she was like, but why do you care if it's real? And he's like, you don't care if what you in or seeing is real or not? And she's like, no. And it just blew my mind, because it's like, that's what these kids, like, they're like Wall-E. I'm telling you, like, they don't care if what they're seeing is real, as long as they're entertained, or, you know, I don't know, man. It's a whole nother world. And I can see, I just see it as the future. I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Matrix is real.
That's interesting. I guess because that could mean that people, like, in the future might not see, you know, like, metaverse companies as being, you know, leisure. Maybe that's just like a part of like lifestyle, like something no different than
like Ready Player One.
Yeah,
Ready Player One, right? It's like they know it's not real. That doesn't keep them from being in that. That's not. They know the real world's out there, but the idea is that they like this better than the real world. I don't know. It's nuts,
bro. Man, it just got me thinking, like, this is kind of random, but imagine being able to live with like your parents or grandparents forever through the metaverse. You know, like, dude, honestly,
you're getting into something nuts now, because you're talking about like if they could upload consciousness into the metaverse,
bro.
Yeah, that's, dude.
No,
that's enough for me, dog.
Yeah, imagine that.
We're getting into something crazy.
I'm
Our
just
pets.
saying,
Well,
man.
hey,
I'm
with
just saying.
Elon Musk's brain chip, who knows if it could map your brain, dude?
Oh yeah,
So,
I've heard a little bit about that, you know. Yeah,
It also looks like
opportunities.
Since we
Oh,
were talking about Roblox, I just looked up the Wikipedia because I've really didn't know about it. But it's like an online game platform. Allows users to program games and play games created by other users. So they kind of make your own rules, I guess, and then people can play in your game if you want. Apparently, it was released in '04, actually '06, and it's been like a sleeper until in the 2010s, and obviously because of the pandemic. But
it's very
kind of-
Minecraft-esque, you know, it follows the same vibe.
man,
Gotcha,
dude,
yeah.
we ought to make a side video of us like going into one of these like worlds and just kind of like walking around or just something, you know what I mean?
So I actually own
Decentraland.
land in Minecraft, in a Minecraft server called Uplift, which is another gaming thing. And I early on the land drop, and this is on the Wax blockchain. So I owned some rail keys and land plots. And what's cool about rail keys is there's a tracking system. And if people ride the train and you own a land key or a rail key on that, you get a fee every time they pass by, because otherwise if they don't take the train, they have to walk in real time through like the grounds to get to where they want to go, right? So it's interesting. There's no like teleportation wherever you want yet. So dude, it's great. And you can build on that land, which I have yet to do at all. But people are doing some insane stuff building. I mean, and there's builders. They just work all day. They get hired by teams to build, and because it's its own art form. It's crazy.
Right.
It's nuts.
So Minecraft also is another computer-based game. Obviously, all games are computer-based, but this is like you build your resources are like raw materials that are found around you, and then you can just dig and then convert into tools and stuff like that. But people can build like pretty big worlds in it, and apparently now they're transacting with money.
Yeah, it might be an opportunity for Microsoft to capitalize more on their intellectual property, because Minecraft is actually owned by Microsoft. They bought it from Notch several years back.
$2 billion.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Also, quick note: we're coming up at the top of like 1 hour for this video. Do we want to like also like just discuss like potential plays for next week, or like strategies for navigating the market in short term?
Man, yeah, somewhat. Well, I could tell you that for me personally, you know, I think that this is either the beginning or maybe even the middle of a bear market at this time. And so going long, I don't think is like something that I'm seeing for maybe even like this week, right? I still think that we're kind of bottoming out or have a little bit more to go, but I could tell you some of the things that I was thinking about doing. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the Russell 2000. Obviously, that kind of tracks like small caps and things like that, but that usually kind of travels like this throughout time. But right now it went like this, like down, like pretty hard, and so there's a symbol TNA, which is a triple leverage. Our group here, we love triple leverages here, and it's a triple leverage of the Russell 2000. But the reason why I think that could be potentially really really interesting plays, because what goes down has got to like come up, and I say that gracefully, right? I think that's just a US, like United States, New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ kind of thing. I know that Japan has had like a stock market crash, and I don't think they've ever recovered from it. So I will say that that's just like a US thing, but I am seeing like a little bit of potential in that. But of course, with the bear market, and something that I've been doing for maybe like a year now, is obviously I've been buying like a lot of defensive plays, trying to make sure that well, I mean, I guess what I mean by that is like getting some like large value stocks. We were talking about Microsoft on this call, like companies like that I know that will be able to survive through like something kind of crazy, right? I mean, even if we would have bought the S&P the day right before the Rona crash, we'd still be up like, I don't even know, like 80%, even after like this week, probably even more on a triple leverage, But I guess my point is that like everybody's saying on CNBC and stuff, it's like buy companies that make money, you know. But one thing, and this is not like something that I'm like super, super big about or really have too much knowledge with, but I'm hearing a lot of people who are buying puts for QQQ, NASDAQ, and the expiration date is in March. So I've seen congressmen do it. I've been seeing people online doing it, and so I don't know if that's something that you guys are like look into or know about, or something you guys might even be doing the same.
I mean, it makes sense. Again, the world is opening back up. Oh, and here's a big news that's gonna shock the world. So Boris Johnson got here's like you get into the mind of a politician. Boris Johnson at the beginning of the pandemic, Boris Johnson, like Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, he when everybody was in a lockdown, he like hosted a party at the equivalent of the White House. And then it's come up recently that he had that going on, and everybody was like, while the rest of the country was like hunkered down, he was like having a party. And so 2 days after like all of this massive backlash was coming at him, he was like, we're removing all the mandates, no more masks, everybody can go back to normal, we're not going to require vaccine passports, obviously because he was trying to like move the rhetoric away from what his own mistake. But that, I think that's going to set, that's a pretty big precedent for like Europe maybe, and maybe the US, like the midterms are coming up in the US. So if what happens usually in the midterms that turns the opposite party, right now it's the Democratic that holds the House, the Senate, and the executive, there's going to be like big changes. So that's going to even make the downturn even worse for the tech sectors who did really well during the pandemic, now that there's like this clear shift that's happening. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense that that's going to be the move. From my point of view, I'm just going to keep buying like stocks. I mean, I'm not going to change my outlook. I'm young, I can risk it.
For me, like on the note of like the general market, there was one thing I did want to share, and that's if you can see it. Yeah, this is like the TNX, or like the 10-year Treasury, also contrasted with the S&P 500, which is like the light blue line here. Light blue line is the S&P 500, and the dark one is the 10-year yield. This actually kind of concerned me when I was looking at it last night, but this is like the past 5 days. So you can see like on Thursday, there are a couple of different like times when the 10-year yield increased a bit, and the stock market didn't actually do too much because of it, just mainly stable. And then that's just like when the stock market opened like right here at 9 o'clock in the morning, and just went up and then reversed course and just like went down throughout like the rest of the day. For me, I was kind of surprised to see this particular downturn, since the 10-year yield wasn't really doing anything. So I would have expected the 10-year yield to be going up at that point. But I mean, as maybe investors were worried that people would switch their money from the stock market to something that's less risky. But it didn't seem to be caused by that. And then later on, the next day, we also saw that the 10-year yield decreased significantly as well. So when it opened up, it was down by 4%. So it doesn't seem like this recent like market turbulence or like sell-off has really been caused by the overall 10-year yield moving upwards, because that also went down too. So it seems like there's something more to this than just like the Fed's raising interest rates, which we've talked about several times before. So that concerned me, but at the same time, I also see this as like a really good buying opportunity. So I do want to get some more exposure to the S&P 500. I bought some more TQQQ as well, because like the tech stocks really suffered quite a bit, and also for what it's worth, a lot of like the same people who are investing in like the tech stocks are also investing in crypto too. So that also like had an impact as well on the price of many cryptos, most notably Bitcoin, but a lot of the altcoins suffered even more than Bitcoin did. So for me, I think I see this as like a significant opportunity to purchase, because if you look at like the past 3 months, actually let me go on ATVI. This is like the SPY is down by 6% for the past month, and if you look, say, we're basically back to where we were in October. So that's we basically eliminated almost like 3 months of growth in the past. So to me, if we're at a 3-month low, that's a good time to buy. And I don't necessarily whenever I purchase more in like SPY or TQQQ, I don't intend to sell for years. So I think given my overall strategy, and you said I'm trying to use like my modern portfolio theory, I think I don't necessarily know if we reach the bottom, but I do know I want to purchase these assets at a cheaper price, and now is a cheaper price. So personally, I'm going to continue buying, but that doesn't constitute by any means a recommendation like for any of our viewers or any of you. That's just what I'm doing. So I'm going to buy some more exposures to, say, UPRO, which is like SPY but triple leveraged, and to FAS, which is like the financials, and as well, and then some more TQQQ next week, because I actually have been sitting on quite a bit of cash, and since there's a sale, you buy. So for me, this is a dip buying opportunity, but there could be another dip, but I really do want to get in now, because getting in now is a better time than, say, last week for sure.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I think there's a saying. I think it might be like I don't want to get it wrong. I won't even say it. I'll just say the saying is that they say the best time to do something is 20 years ago today. The second best time is today. So,
yeah, that's like planting a tree, right? And also true for stocks.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. Hey, Mark, I mean, did you have something that you were going on to? I know that I feel like you're more of a day trader than more of like a, wait.
Yeah, I definitely don't hold as long as you guys do, but I do. Well, I am super speculative, so I do have a lot of long-term speculation plays, but I don't think that's good advice for anyone. No, I mean, so I've been selling some GBTC that I've been heavily into, especially once I heard that GBTC was actually selling shares themselves. But there is this high speculation rumor that GBTC could possibly conform into the new spot ETF for Bitcoin. It would be easier to just convert that over, from what I understand. That's what they're trying to do. And then I guess the same thing would happen with Ethereum, with because it just doesn't make sense to me that they have a futures ETF.
Can you also quickly explain like what a spot ETF is for Bitcoin?
Yeah, basically spot ETF is buying Bitcoin at the price of Bitcoin, not a derivative or anything like that. They're actually physically buying Bitcoin at its current price, not the futures price or something that's derived off of Bitcoin. So it's like they have to physically hold Bitcoin, but it's an easier way it's no different than buying, I guess, spot gold price, right, on the market. It's very similar thing without actually physically holding that gold. So, but yeah, it doesn't make sense that they would allow a futures ETF, but not the actual physical spot price of Bitcoin in an ETF. Doesn't make any sense, and it's very odd to me. But there's a rumor saying that Q1 this year, sometime, or the latest Q2. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, buying like a spot Bitcoin spot ETF could be advantageous, like from like from a tax perspective, for some investors, versus actually like buying the coin outright.
I don't really necessarily know, because you still have to pay taxes on crypto that you buy outright as well. It's probably just easier, to pay the taxes through a spot ETF than it is calculating through the actual coins. Is that what you meant?
Oh, well, I mean, it's like if you were to say hold like a spot ETF and you hold it for say like a year, you wouldn't pay short-term capital gains tax
I
on
hear
that.
you. Yeah, I guess that's true. Because I guess that's true. Because you don't actually physically own the coin. Yeah.
You own the company that owns the coin.
Right. I don't know. So I'm waiting. I'm just really waiting to confirm that bottom. Like I said, I've had money on the sidelines, just waiting. I've dipped my toe, but it's continued to go lower. So I'm just really holding out to play it safe. Because I do still believe that this year we will see Bitcoin hit 100,000. I really do think that. I think that run's not over. I don't think that this is the end. So after that though, I would definitely take profit. That's my suggestion.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Not financial advice.
No worries.
But a
no
Bitcoin
worries.
at 100 would certainly be a significant profit if you bought now.
Oh, absolutely. If you look at it that way, then it's a buy any day.
Yeah, cool. Well, all right, man. I think we're running out of time here, but I want to thank you guys for getting on with us here today and just hanging out and sharing what's going on in the market and what's going on with you guys. And I appreciate you guys. Is there any last words anybody's got? No? Josh?
I think I would just say like time in the market beats timing the market. So just trying to like buy like a stock at the very, very bottom or selling at the very, very top is very hard, but actually capturing the overall trend is much, much easier. So like if you know that stocks in general are going to be going up because production, like our world's like economy production, it generally goes up. You can capture that like very easily. Yeah, you might like lose some money like in the short term, but maybe like in a particular day or a week. But if you buy and you hold it for years and years, you'll capture that overall production growth. So that's like one surefire way to make money versus say trading like from second to second or just from moment to moment. Capturing the trends versus the long-term trends versus like the very, very short term trends is key.
That's true. And I think the market's definitely, it moves money from the impatient to the patient.
That was good.
That's good.
I like
That's
that.
really good.
Yeah. I was going to kind of rebound off of that too. It's like, I kind of mentioned like, I'm not going to be too eager about buying like this week. I mean, because obviously I feel like it can keep going there. So I feel like, yeah, I can be patient. You know what I mean? I mean, I get my paycheck every 2 weeks. So, gonna get that cash when I can, and then I'll buy when I can, but definitely, dude, definitely not anything. But my prediction is by like Q3, man, maybe we'll be having some different conversations. That's my prediction, my hope, my prayer, actually. But yeah, but all right, guys, I appreciate you guys.
All right.
See
everyone on Wall Street Saturday
talking,
episode 3.
Yeah, for sure. See ya.